This is Capsule on liveandlimbo.com. My name is Sean Chin.
And I am Andreas and This is an adventure to music, film, and pop culture.
So, how are you today, Andres?
I'm pretty good, thank you. I guess it's been like a week since Time Festival, which we'll get into. We've got a lot to say about that. We've got some interesting stuff that's been happening in both music and film. We've got a pretty groundbreaking film we could talk about, and kind of the downfall of what I consider society when you have things that are tampering with what should be something that everyone should see, but we'll get into that in a second. And then we've got some relief of society and how I view it with another thing in the music news. But we'll get to all of that. How are you?
I'm great. This week has been pretty nice, but we did miss an episode this week, so we'll try to make up for that soon. We usually do like 2 a week, but yeah, we'll fix that.
That's okay. I mean, we've done like 3 in 1 week, so I'm sure somewhere ages ago.
No, we're on a great track right now. We're at this will be episode 37, and it's only been just a little more than half a year already. Wow, it's been quite a while already.
Yeah, so I mean, we're well past what's going to be 52 at the end of the year.
This show is ancient now. In internet times, it's 6 months is infinity.
Yeah, soon enough we're going to be on life support. It's not good.
All right, so let's get to the first item. Do you like Weird Al Yankovic?
Here's me and satirical music. I'm really not big on it. I don't know why. I've just never found humorous music actually humorous. But with that being said, Weird Al is somebody that I highly respect. I mean, I think he's extremely talented with what he does. The way that he can camouflage all of these genres, never mind these specific artists, is really difficult to do. And usually he's got more than just a really simple joke, especially not at the expense of the actual artist. But he's got social commentary usually with what he's saying and how pop culture is actually being swung at that very moment. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of comedy music, but no, I think he's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, when it comes to parody music, he is the king of that. But I found it really interesting that for the first time ever, he got his first #1 album on the ranking on the Billboard 200.
Well, good for him. It's about time. And isn't it the first comedy album within 50 or so years?
Yeah, so his album Mandatory Fun is the first comedy album to top that Billboard 200 since this guy called Alan Sherman. He got there for 8 weeks, and that was in August of 1963.
Yeah, I mean, comedy albums really aren't that popular anymore, especially with YouTube and television specials like HBO. I mean, yeah, how many people have rewatched George Carlin or Dave Chappelle thousands of times? But then how many of those same people bought their albums, right?
Exactly.
Comedy albums really aren't that big. So I guess the only way this could have happened is with comedy music. And if there's anybody to have done it, it's Weird Al. So yeah.
And Flight of the Conchords, I like them too.
They're pretty good.
They've kind of dropped off though in New Zealand somewhere. Once
their show ended, right, they kind of dropped off the face of the planet.
But I find it interesting. Did any of the videos come out to you at all? For me, it was word crimes. I found that kind of funny.
We talked about this at Time, actually. I'm highly impressed with what they did with Tacky. I didn't actually see the original Happy video, so I saw the Tacky video, and I was like, wow, this is all one shot. That's pretty cool. They probably stuck really closely to what the original video was. So I watched it. They don't do it in one shot, the Pharrell Williams video. They don't do it in one shot.
No, they don't, no.
No, so technically what they did in a parody video was technically much more difficult than the original.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I think they put a lot of effort into this new album.
Yeah, no, and again, I don't find it humorous, but that's because it's Weird Al. It's because I just don't find the style of comedy that funny. I rarely have.
I think in general though, Weird Al continues to be one of the very, very few people who can earn lots of money from making parody videos. As you said before, there's thousands and thousands of people on YouTube making parody videos, and they don't really see a dime from that at all.
No, because
why him?
Because he takes a different spin on things, like I said, and it's not okay. Let's just take Happy for instance. A typical parody video you might have found is and that makes me feel crappy. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, they just took an emotion but changed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they suddenly make it about like how this guy went to work and he stepped in a puddle and suddenly he's crappy. How does it feel to be a room with a roof? It's crappy. I don't know, but you know what I mean. So they would have taken something that's pretty obvious and it's like, oh, haha, but tacky that has nothing to do with the actual song, but it has to do a lot with the changing trends that we have now. And it coincides with the actual aesthetic from the song's video, for instance, more than the song itself, which he really goes outside of the box and beyond. Like, again, blurred lines and word crimes, where instead of it being like a song about, somebody not getting the girl, whatever, it's, wait a second, what did Robert Thicke really intend to say? And suddenly, is this what he meant to say, or are we forcing words in his mouth? Word crimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, no, there's a really like not cool parody video of Iggy Azalea's Fancy, and they renamed it Married. Like it's about being married and stuff. So I found that very cheesy. So there's a lot of not good ones.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of, like I said, comedy music at all. But
it's a very niche thing.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Just especially if you could preempt the word that's coming because it's a rhyme, you know what I mean? But I just remember when White and Nerdy came out, and that, like, again, that speaks volumes because it's more than just satirizing a song. It was a comment on the culture where it was like, wait, how many of you people actually like this song? Suddenly it's like, he's not attacking, but he's commenting on this audience that might be listening to it in like high school and stuff. And it's like, oh, well, everybody's allowed to listen to the song, including the Way to Nerdy, I guess, right? So, no, he just thinks of it in a different way. He sees it through a different light that none of us would have even intended to do so. But because it's so different, he doesn't make it seem forced. And so many of these seem forced. That's the thing. Like, he's the most advanced, but at the same time he's the most natural.
Yeah, it's natural. It's not forced at all. Yeah, I think we'll just leave him to that then. He's the master of that, and then just leave it there. SNL people do it pretty well too sometimes.
That's all right, but can they age as well as Weird Al? I don't think so. I mean, he looks like he's in his 30s still.
Oh my god, he looks exactly the same. That's kind of freaky.
Without the mustache. In fact, he looks younger. Oh my god, it's bizarre.
It's going back in time.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about your news item, Panic at the Disco. Do you like these guys?
Panic at the Disco. I remember hating them for many, many, many years when I was younger, and just the name of them annoyed me. But then I remember them being one of my first guilty pleasures with Night in the Afternoon, which, because it's such a heavily influenced song by the Beatles and their studio era, some might call it a ripoff, I guess. You can't help but find it undeniably catchy. So,
well, our music editor Sarah Ricks loves them. So
there you go.
Wait, did they drop the exclamation mark in Panic, or is that still there?
I can't tell you. I don't know if they've done reverse Godspeed You to Black Emperor syndrome, but
I don't know. I remember though at the beginning they had like all this theatrical stuff going on stage and everything, but then in later years they got more down to earth and more just simple.
Yeah, they've definitely that's the thing I'll give them credit for. They've evolved quite a few times. Like even their newest album, when they reunited, I guess, is different from their earlier stuff entirely. And like their second album, pretty odd. Didn't it get like polarized reviews because a lot of people were saying, you know what, this is good that they're challenging themselves, and then other people were saying this is nothing like what they've done at all, right? Yeah, so I've got a little bit of respect for them even before this news item because they're constantly challenging themselves and evolving their music. And yeah, I've got a little bit more respect for them now. But then you have something like this news item that just came out where, I mean, you have to, even if it's somebody you don't like as a musician, you have to recognize something there. Basically what happened is, I don't know what caused this to have happened. I guess Westboro Baptist Church, the worst family of cult people in the world, decided they wanted to rally one of their concerts. I guess maybe it was their music, or maybe something they said in respect to the LGBT community. I'm not quite sure, but basically they said that they wanted to protest. They protest everything. They protest funerals of people like Steve Jobs and Ronnie James Dio. They protest everything.
Wait, they did that?
Yeah, of course they did. Or
Why?
they
Why
said
does
they would
Steve
anyways.
Jobs?
The hell if I know. They protest everything.
Oh, okay, everything. Okay.
Well, not literally everything, but they protest just so many things where it's like this person, this sinner is going to hell. All of you people are going to hell. They're just the worst. Yeah, so they were going to protest our concert, and they've done that before. They protested concerts before, and basically, the lead singer said, "Okay, enough's enough. The amount of people who come to protest our show, for each head from that community, we're going to donate $20 to this community or this charity that helps out people who are struggling and are being abused for their homosexuality." So, yeah, how much did they raise? Like
They raised
$1,000?
$1,000.
Well, first of all, I'm ashamed that so many people showed up for that. I mean, good God. Unless that was like
Yeah.
other ways of it being funded, but if that's honestly just from Westboro Baptist Church heads, that is appalling. That's like 500 people.
Yeah.
Or no, it's
Well,
it's less than that, but
you said how much? $20?
$20 a head. That would have been $2 a head.
Yeah.
What is that? Like 50 maybe?
Yeah, that is 50. 50
Okay.
people.
I'm clearly a mathematician. 50. Anyways, 50 people. That's still appalling. Secondly, kudos to these guys because that's they stuck to their word. That's a lot of money that they raised. That's faith in humanity restored, even though it was quickly diminished 2 steps backwards for what the Westboro Baptist Church did. But then it made me realize, outside of this stupid family, there's a lot of good people in this world. So yeah, good on you, Panic at the Disco.
There's always good people in this world. Yeah, I like them too. Their music is catchy.
Not in the afternoon. That's about it for me.
Okay.
That's about it for me. Just that one song, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine.
All right. So one thing that we like to talk about is music, of course, but then the technology that surrounds it. There was an article, like a research article, posted by, I think it's called MIDIA, something like that, and it's entitled "The Digitally Native Music Consumer." In this, they found that the new generation of people, a third have no interest in paying for streaming music because they can get it for free from YouTube. And these people do like the streaming, and it says a fifth of them have tried like a 30-day trial membership subscription thing, and only a fifth of those fifth would pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we going with this? These are pirates. Like the research article says they are pirates.
I suppose. I don't know. It sounds like one of those studies or lectures that I was talking to you about this yesterday on Facebook Messenger. When I was in university, I didn't think I was smarter than anyone else or anything, but because I didn't like write down virtually every word that anyone was saying, any of my professors, I got to kind of digest what they were saying as an observer and not just as a student. And I noticed that a lot of the time, there would just be terms for things that we already kind of knew, but you'd see these people feverishly writing these down because they knew they'd be on the exam, these terms. And I'd sit there and think, this is kind of obvious already. Like, you already know that this exists, but because it's in like textual form, now it's suddenly like this profound kind of enlightenment. And that's kind of this. If you really think about it, regardless of the study, it's pretty obvious, wouldn't you say, that this is kind of where everything's going, if not by the evidence of thousands of Spotify updates on Facebook. You know what I mean?
No, but like, yeah, okay. I have migrated, and I embrace the streaming environment. But these people in particular, which seems to be the majority now, don't even want to pay for that streaming.
But that was obvious beforehand. I mean,
well, the idea of streaming was to cater to the people that didn't want to pay for individual downloads, and that downloading solution was made for the people that didn't want to buy CDs.
I guess, but like, there's a big misconception there because I'm guessing streaming started because a lot of people thought it was about how easy it was to obtain something where you don't have to go out to get something, you just get it at home. They missed the biggest part. It's not because of how hard it is to get CDs. Well, for some people, for you and I, where we actually buy music, when we'll order stuff on Amazon, this and that, but sometimes we'll listen to it on YouTube because sometimes it's harder to get, even though
Yeah.
the sound quality is bad. But that they're missing the point for the casual person. That's not the reason. It's because it's free. That's honestly it. So why would look at Napster, for instance? What were people at the very dawn of music piracy, digitally, anyways? Never mind analog tapes or whatever. What were they downloading at the very start of digital piracy? They weren't downloading like girl groups B-sides from the 50s, right?
They were downloading Britney Spears.
Oddly enough, that was the exact example I was going to use, but thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. We're on the same wavelength today.
Exactly. So that hones my point even more.
That's why you're the co-host. That's why you're the co-host.
Thank you. They were downloading what was on the radio, which you could hear for free anyways. So they missed the point of basic piracy needs entirely. Like, yes, for people like us, where we actually want like the best quality and we're looking for really hard to get stuff because we actually collect music, it's pretty good for us. It's a pretty useful tool, and I've considered it. It's just that it's not available
in a way. You're right, because even though I pay for my streaming, it's easily accessible and it's relatively affordable. Like I use RDO, it's $9.99 a month. However, you only get the new albums on Tuesdays. I think that's when the new cycle comes out. I guess these people want it like super instantly, so they'll go to YouTube and find the leaked version or something.
Which I don't blame them, because I mean, as soon as that music, which a lot of people have been waiting for, comes out, you're going to want to hear it. But I'm somebody who will end up buying it if I like it, right? So
well, I think we are all, like, every single person is guilty of piracy in some form at some point in their life. That's inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty funny. A few years ago, there was a start of this one website. I can't remember what it's called. I don't care to remember what it's called because it's kind of scary. But it basically calls you out if you've been downloading stuff, and it can tell you specifically what torrents you've downloaded. So it's like, we're not going to report this to the authorities, but just let it weigh on your soul that we know what you've been downloading, so you can't really hide it. And it's an actual website, and I tried it once today. It was humiliating. I was like, oh my God, but I bought all these things, I swear.
All those naughty videos came up, right?
No, I only streamed those.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so what's funny is somebody from like the biggest anti-piracy kind of movement, like an organization, where they're wanting to put people in jail for longer terms than people who rape people or abuse people physically. Like, it was disgusting, where it's like, no, because you stole these songs, you deserve to be in here longer than these monsters of society, right? But one of those people got caught downloading the entire series of Law and Order. I believe it was Law and Order. It was either that or The West Wing. It was one of those two. So yeah, that website called them out, and they're like, aren't you against this kind of thing? Shouldn't you be in jail for longer terms than people who do worse crimes? Isn't that what you were fighting for?
And then what did he say?
I don't remember what his response was.
No one ever heard from him again.
Yeah, probably. He probably got the good old Russian treatment. No, I'm kidding. No, he...
That kind of reminds me of that one story. I forgot what the exact thing was, but there was this one guy who's like a racist. And then it turned out he was part African. And he was like, oh, crap. That's a real... I have to go find that.
It kind of sounds like that parody video that Dave Chappelle had, where he was...
That's a great one.
He was a white supremacist, but he was black.
Oh, what was that? Bigsby or something like that?
It was something like that. And then, like, somebody just kind of, like, tells him, he's like, oh, what? And it's like, apparently I am who I hate. So I divorced my wife because she likes people of this race. I can't say exactly what they say because it's offensive, but...
we'll link it so you can see it.
Was that a direct comment on that person you were talking about?
No, that was different.
It was separate, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
This was like a real life thing.
No. I just thought it was like something in the news that he was like commenting on, right? But I don't know. Maybe it was just something that he completely thought of, and then suddenly it became a reality to someone.
It was funny. Okay. Yeah. No, that was a great video, Dave Chappelle.
Well, that's why hatred never should spread, because sometimes you'll be eating your own words, and that's the whole thing with this anti-piracy thing as well, where I'm not saying it's like racism at all, because that's far worse, obviously, but
I'm just worried of where this is all gonna go. Like, if people, like, they made streaming to give like the common consumer easy access to all of this music with offline capabilities, and yet they still think 9.99 is too much.
Maybe. Well, I was actually
So then, like, if these people don't want to pay the artists at all, and the artists all are already getting like minimal amounts of royalties from this, I think they get like 5 cents a listen.
yeah, it's
So
really
like,
bad.
and these people and critics are complaining that the quality of music today is getting crappier and crappier. This is only gonna make it go downwards even further.
Well, I was watching a video last night where Ed O'Brien, obviously of Radiohead, for those who don't know, that's a contradiction, obviously, for those who don't know. Anyways, Ed O'Brien of Radiohead had this theory that apparently he and Lily Allen and a lot of other English musicians had at this one talk. This was years ago, though, so I don't see this coming into fruition, but maybe it will one day because we're running out of options. Where basically they either commented on somebody else's idea or they came up with it themselves. I don't really know. That instead of like financial fees or really damning people who pirate stuff, whether it be music or movies or whatever, they basically said the streaming services or like the web providers, sorry, should actually just cut down on the amount of information they're allowed to send, so they really slow down their internet.
No. That's the whole net neutrality thing.
Yeah,
I am strongly for net neutrality.
oh, I am for sure, especially with all these bills trying to be passed. I'm so sick of it. It's kind of like an ingrown toenail at this point.
He
Just won't leave.
so Ed O'Brien was in favor of that, of them, the cable companies, the telecom companies limiting people like that.
I guess so, but
No,
at the
that's
same
not
time,
good.
at the same time, he was saying in favor of putting these people in jail. You know what I mean? Where he said if there had to be some way.
I'm surprised Radiohead would say that. I'm kind of
Um,
disappointed.
well, he was saying like his words, well, not exact words, but what his idea was. He said that he was like a rich kind of like big cheese kind of deal, so it's not for people like him who have made it. It's for the younger artists who are struggling. So he was saying it wasn't a direct philosophy of Radiohead, but it was like an outlook to the future artists who are struggling.
They're
So,
the ones that did the whole pay what you want for In Rainbows.
which I think is a good idea. But again, he's a big cheese kind
Yeah.
of deal, right? Who's going to do that with?
Oh, well, I can talk to you for hours about net neutrality later, but essentially, they want the telecom companies, if they had their way, they would say it would be like your cable package when you buy like specialty channels like sports and stuff. They'll
Yeah.
say if you use YouTube, you pay $10 a month. If you just want to Google and research stuff, that's $5 a month. If you want to use audio, oh hey, you're streaming a lot more now. You have to pay $20 a month.
Yeah, for this bonus deal, and if you order now with Pandora, you get more stations. It's ridiculous. This kind of idea, and
And
it's
even though Skype is free, oh, you're going to use Skype and you're going to use HD video to call your relative in Australia. Oh, that's like $40 a month.
yeah, it's stupid, and they just won't stop. They won't stop with that. They won't stop with having your internet being spied on. I remember when I was starting out doing movie reviews. I did that solely before music reviews. Well, I did the mixture too. Anyways, I was focusing mostly on movie reviews. And years ago, this is like 4 or 5 years ago, I felt threatened because there was this new bill that was saying, well, you can't use copyright material, this and that. This included using like images of films on your website, talking about films without like the consent of the distributors, stuff like that. So I was saying, I'm just starting out. What am I supposed to do? I'm going to be screwed because like,
yeah, you can't
what is
afford
wrong
to
with
pay
this?
whatever royalties you need to put the image on it.
Yeah, but what's the point? It's an image that's being released online. It's so stupid.
I guess they
Um,
want the control over it. They don't want like Perez Hilton stuff going on.
it's just stupid
Yeah,
though.
it's stupid. I agree.
It goes from, all of this isn't about, hey, that's my song, you're stealing it anymore. This is now like these big heads and their stupid little suits basically saying, oh, okay, so this musician wants his money. Okay, cool. While I'm at it, why don't we do this and this and this and this and that? Because it's basically the same legally, right? So why don't you just fork over all of your rights and all of your money basically. So you have no say, and we could just shell out whatever we want right now.
Well, it kind of echoes in what Jimmy Iovine, of the CEO of Beats, now part of Apple, said. He said people in the Hollywood or entertainment industry are highly insecure right now, while people in Silicon Valley, the technology companies, are overconfident. So
Yep. Yeah, they are. And I remember I was on 4chan or something. This is back when I used to go on a lot, where somebody actually had an idea where it's like, look, I go to a lot of porn sites. What they do to kind of stay above water is they just have ads all over the place, right? So instead of trying to like find every person in the world and actually getting like really innocent people like grandmothers imprisoned, which I wish I was kidding about, but I'm not. That did happen. Why don't these studios or these companies just have their stuff streaming? If you want the physical copy, you can buy it. Have it streaming for free and just inundate them with ads. I thought that maybe this would be a stupid idea at first because a lot of people use ad blocker, but I've talked to a lot of people. I've had to talk to a lot of people about using ad blocker to begin with. I thought it was a lot more common than that, but apparently not. So
I don't know. Yeah. Well, so that's kind of what Apple uses with their iTunes Radio feature, which is only in the US right now. I guess now that they acquired Beats Music, they're going to try find a different way to do it. We'll see. But right now in the US, so you can have iTunes Radio for free and they will have embedded ads in there. Or if you pay $25 a year for iTunes Match, you get that streaming feature for free without ads.
Yeah, because think about it. If it's
the freemium model. The freemium model.
Yeah, exactly. If it's a video, it might be annoying to have like an ad or whatever in between stuff. But if it's streaming an album, they're not going to cut the album midway for an ad, right? They'll have a banner. You're going to go to a different tab, do your stuff. That banner's still up.
I think for the iTunes Radio one, they played like something.
Oh, that's.
But
it's radio,
I guess
right?
the issue is that if the ad is highly related to the thing that you were listening to, it wouldn't be as intrusive as Geico talking lizards and stuff.
Yeah, basically, but
it's like you're listening to Radiohead and then the talking lizard shows up halfway.
Well, the accent kind of works where it's like, "Whoa, Tom York, what are you doing now?" Oh wait, that's not him. That's highly offensive. I'm so sorry, Radiohead. No, but it's an online advert, right? Where you're not going to find a lot of stuff that will relate. It'll be some stupid stuff where it's like you're listening to I guess let's say Arcade Fire. It's really emotional, and then suddenly it's like Kia with like Bruno Mars song in the background. It's like, oh, what happened? This doesn't fit at all. And then suddenly you get back to like the second half of Funeral, right? It's not going to work.
No. Well, yeah, this industry is changing dramatically in all areas. So everyone has to find out how to monetize this in a sustainable way correctly. So. Well,
don't forget that we've got this viewpoint because this is the age that we've grown up in, like that article you sent me where it's like we're digital natives or digital or immigrants, right?
Yeah.
We have this mentality, but there's been piracy for years and years and years before us, whether it be taped songs off the radio or bootlegs. There's just been so many ways to have stolen music since like decades ago. And perhaps it's easier now, but I mean, it's clearly something that's not going to stop.
Maybe they just have to accept that there will be this certain portion of the population that they just won't convert.
Yeah, and basically what Ed O'Brien was saying as well, to kind of give you like a bigger perspective of my guess, he basically said it's almost inevitable at this point. So it actually helps out a lot of artists. Like for him, he said it helped us out because we had that pay what you want for In Rainbows, right? And the way that album got promoted was by streaming and illegal downloads. So because they didn't really promote that album, right? And even King of Limbs, where they kind of announced it like a few days before, they said, "Oh, we're releasing an album," and then that was it. That's how that album got widely spread. They didn't do much except for, well, they did a whole newspaper thing, I guess, which I really wanted.
Bands need to be more creative, I guess. I guess that's what the industry doesn't want. They don't want to. They're kind of lazy. They don't want to find these new creative methods of promoting their stuff. So.
Well, they want contracts. They want you to like sing on YouTube, and then suddenly it's like, why don't you come into my office and then let's talk business, and then they get you to sign some stuff. You do like 2 music videos, you've got like 5 singles, and then that's it. You're out on your own kind of thing. Like
And
that's
all your
like,
stuff belongs to them.
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, you get 50 cents, but WMG gets all this amount of money. It's speaking of which, Radiohead's releasing a new album. They said that they're working on it currently, so we'll see how they release that one, because the past few releases have been pretty interesting. So
They're in the works for that, so yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
Oh, hey, did you see that Apple commercial with the MacBook Air called Stickers?
I have not.
Oh, it's a pretty good one. It features the music of Hudson Mowake, the guy who did Chimes.
Oh,
That song I
right.
showed you. It's very catchy.
Should we talk about that?
Yeah, I like it. Did you listen to it or no?
Oh yeah, I did. I'm a big fan of Tonight. I usually like what they do, even if it's like very obviously sample based. Sometimes it sounds really nice. I found parts of that song extremely good, but then I found it very stop start. I think I said to you,
Like choppy, right? The
Yeah.
momentum would build up and then it would just stop and then continue.
yeah, and I mean they've done that before, but they've done it a lot better before. Where instead of like kind of alienating you from the song, it adds to it a little bit. Like Acrylic, I believe the song's called, was one of my favorite songs of last year. And that's kind of similar as well, where the shifts aren't very gradual. It's very abrasive. You're very aware of it, but it was nice. In this song, that one sample was replayed way too often. That fizzle, and then like that guy would say like "whoa" or whatever.
Yeah, I know. What you mean.
It was way too often, and because every time it would happen, it was almost a joke where it was like, "Here he comes again, whoa," and then that was it. So,
But I guess like Apple is the marketing team at Apple is very on top of new music too. They have a good taste, impeccable taste when it comes to their ads. Not just with
Well,
new music, like in their previous iPhone one, they used that gigantic song by the Pixies. So
yeah, which is a good song actually. But that was from like the 80s.
yeah, I'm just saying they have a good taste in music for their ads.
Yep. No, they do. Even with their iPod commercials, like those. God, those are almost like 10 years old.
Like the U2 one or who else did they use? The Strokes? They do the Strokes?
I don't remember. I remember they used Jet, and
Oh yeah, Jet, yes.
I hate Jet now, but like back in the day, they were pretty big. They used Gorillas. I remember that. That was cool.
Yeah.
Those Silhouette commercials, those are 10 years old now. They're
Wow.
older than that. Wow.
I feel
And
old.
how long have they been extinct for? Like 7 years?
Yeah.
Wow, we're really getting old.
Those were iconic.
Yeah, they're so on top of things that their own trends passed, and they've got like a new trend coming out. That's whoa. Okay,
I did
Apple.
not think about it like that. Yeah.
I feel really old now, and yeah, let's move on.
All right. So, in the world of, I guess, music broadcasting, I guess he's kind of like our colleague in the field, Mr. Alan Cross.
He's an aspiration, that's for sure.
I guess, yeah, he is. To me, he is. But I guess since we're doing this too, we're kind of what do you call it?
Right now, yeah, we're on the bench, and he's Michael Jordan. How's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we're just sitting on the bench. I'm fine with that too.
We're the summer league of the Chicago Bulls.
I'll
He's
warm
out
his
there.
bench. Yeah. Anyways,
Exactly.
so he has been hired back by The Edge 102.1 / Corus Entertainment. Of course, he's known for his famous program, The Ongoing History of New Music.
Mhm.
And so what happened here? So he was working at The Edge from 1986 until 2011. That's
Yeah.
25 years, man. And you're 25, I'm 26. So he's been
Thanks for
working.
reminding me.
he's been working. No, I'm thinking that's probably bad for him. Like he doesn't want to hear that. And he's been working there for as long as we've been alive, pretty much.
And his voice sounds like he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
Well,
Hopefully we're like that too.
Yeah.
If we go on for another 25 years, that would be cool. 12,000 episodes, who knows? Anyway, so they laid him off at The Edge, laid him off in 2011. And since then, he's been at Indie 88, a new, I guess, radio station in Toronto.
Yep.
But now he's back what are your thoughts on him first?
Like I said, he's an inspiration of mine, and I aspire to be him.
How long have you been listening to him for?
This is going to make me feel old as well. Back when I used to listen to The Edge, like 10 years ago, because I've listened to them in a very, very long time. When I used to listen to The Edge, I remember the radio show. He got me into stuff like Wumpscut, which is industrial music. He got me into television, which I went to go see live, and it was one of my favorite shows of all time. And I got to interview Tom Verlaine. I got introduced to that band because of Alan Cross. He's been a big indicator of...
That was from his program, The Ongoing History? Or was that something else?
No, that was The Ongoing History of Music. I remember television was on The Edge, and I was like, what is this? I don't even know what this is. Like, I've never heard anything like this before. And I remember I used to work in an ice cream shack, and Wumpscut was playing. He was playing like gothic industrial music. And I remember my boss coming over and being like, what is this? This isn't good for the customers. I was like, it's just on the radio, sir. But yeah, he opened my eyes a little bit. And like I was saying, he's a good indicator of who I am as a music listener and an audiophile, because now with what he was doing with Indie 88 before I guess he left with his final collection, I remember just before he would even play the music, he'd introduces everything that he plays, because he's just so passionate about what he does that he'd introduce like The Fall, for instance, and I'd say, oh, I love The Fall, and then suddenly he'd play a song that I knew and I loved, and it'd be like, yes, this is amazing. Whereas 10 years ago, I knew nothing about any of these bands that he'd play, but he'd open my eyes, so I'd be introduced to all of this stuff. So no, I think very highly of him. He's very educated, and he's got a bigger drive than most people claim to in the music industry. So yeah, good for him.
And how did you feel when he left The Edge?
Well, I wasn't really listening to it at that point. I got out of The Edge way before then, even with the Dean Blundell show. Once I discovered Howard Stern, and I discovered that a lot of radio show hosts are kind of like Howard Stern, but with a lot of restrictions. Even that kind of novelty fizzled for me. And the music I wasn't a big fan of anymore, because I remember back when I used to listen to it, they used to have Rage Against the Machine. They used to have, they had Radiohead as well. And now they kind of just play a lot of indie music. Like, they're not even like the rock station anymore. They call themselves the alternative station, right? So with their big shift in music and trying to stay afloat, I lost a lot of interest with the radio in general. So I stopped listening. So I didn't really care either way.
And then, so then he went to Indie 88, and I guess that kind of gave them a popularity boost. And now that he's left, we'll see where they go from there.
Yeah, see, that I don't really like, though, because they got rid of Alan Cross, who obviously had a lot of staying power. And
Indie 88 did not get rid of him. He chose to leave because...
No, I mean, like, The Edge got rid of him.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. He had a lot of staying power, and that's what I mean with Indie 88 becoming a new station. He was a big reason why a lot of people were listening, because they're like, whoa, Alan Cross is there now. Like, I'm not the only person who's a big fan of Alan Cross. He's obviously got like a huge following.
Yeah, he's like a heavyweight. Yeah,
he's highly respected. So the fact that he was there and then suddenly The Edge kind of want him back now that they're in competition with Indie 88, I think is despicable almost, where it's like, okay, we need you now.
But he did give his reasons why he's going back to The Edge in his podcast called Geeks and Beats with Michael Hainsworth. So I guess when he was laid off from The Edge, he was he was like in their structure or payroll system, part of their online services. And then I guess they try to cut down on that during the recession period. And then unfortunately he was part of that. And so he went over to Indie 88. But the issue was that he did not own the rights to the ongoing history of new music.
No.
So all of that was lost. And now I guess they have money again, The Edge. And they want to refocus on digital and online stuff. And then they told him, yes, we'll give you back your show. And then I guess that was tempting enough. And lots of money.
I still think it's pretty immoral. that they did that. Like, again, now that they have money and now that he's of use, let's bring him back, kind of thing. Right?
I guess they wanted to use that as leverage to get him back. Yeah, it's kind of bad on their part, but I guess like when someone has your 25-year-old baby and then they're like, "Do you want it back? You have to come back here." I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
That's what I mean. It's disgusting. It's the fact that they got rid of him beforehand. I mean,
and the issue was that he was an independent contractor before.
Yeah.
And they took ownership of his program. So that part was kind of sketchy too. You can all listen to his podcast. I'll link that. He'll go into more detail about that. But yeah, so they just paid him off for it, kind of.
I mean, I respect his decision, obviously. I think he's got good reason to go back, but I don't think they had good reason to toy with him like that. I think that's ridiculous.
Yep. All right.
I mean, he's an esteemed individual. You don't treat him like he's, like breakfast that you had to skip. And then suddenly the next day, you need him because you need a lot more power to stay through the day, right?
I'm hoping he goes back to because he thinks he might have a way to get copyright ownership of his program and then ditch them. I
hope so.
Yeah, hopefully they're not listening to that. Sorry.
Well, like in T88, I still listen to it here and there if I don't have a CD player in the car or whatever, but because there's nothing else, I guess. But the Edge, I don't care about. Whatever.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Last Saturday was Time Festival. And so we did something kind of interesting. Well, I wanted to work on our portable podcast rig. So I picked up a Zoom H5, a brand new one that just came out. So right now for this podcast, I'm using a Zoom H6 to record it. And so the Zoom H5 is like a smaller version of that.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to that, I just wanted to warn you that for some reason I sound like I'm shouting and Andreas sounds perfectly fine. That's probably because I held it too close to my mouth. But yeah, we're working on that. So it's all of an experiment. So stay tuned. We are on location at the Time Festival at Fort York, Garrison Commons, on a very rainy and gloomy day. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I'm recording this on the new Zoom H5 that I just got for portable podcasting. So we'll see how this goes right now. Andreas, what are your thoughts on the festival so far?
I'm eating a freezy. That's about it. No, there's been a few things which have been a bit irritable. I mean, the fact that they wouldn't allow umbrellas in, so mine got confiscated along with many others. A lot of the acts dropped out. A lot of the main acts, we have Death Grips who broke up, obviously. Charlie XCX, who's had commitments that collided with this festival, so she had to opt out.
She was in Spain. It was not unforeseen at all.
Yeah, but even then, like, Time didn't really do much to tell people. So if you didn't do your own research, you wouldn't have had any idea that any of this was going on.
They also did not replace her or Death Grips. So
no. Yeah, and I mean, it's raining. It's a bit miserable. No umbrellas. No water refill stations, which you usually have at Fort York. We saw Magical Clouds, which was quite underwhelming. But right now, like, the first good thing to happen, apart from this freezy I'm having, and that pork and watermelon food I just had, which was bizarre but pretty damn delicious, is John Hopkins, I believe, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man, that pork belly and watermelon skewer was great. That was fantastic.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we're here, to cover the food, not the music. Yeah. The music's good. The music's like a subset.
Basically. Well, John Hopkins is on right now. He's got a interesting set for somebody behind a desk, obviously. But no, the music's quite excellent right now. The things he has playing behind him on the projector, whether it be like fractals expanding into oblivion or just women kind of frolicking. Right now, it's a scenic set of a building. He's got a lot of stuff going on that mixes with the music. It's nice. I like it. It's uplifting this rather saddening festival right now.
Right now, the Commons is about a quarter full, I would say, maybe almost half. Yeah. Well, there's some people. Everyone's in ponchos right now. It's a sea of white and yellow ponchos, and ground's gonna get muddy soon, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And hopefully this goes well. No one dies.
It's probably going to get more full once Chimes gets here. I'm sure at this point, with Death Grips gone, Charlie XCX gone, 90% of people here are for Grimes. I can guarantee it. I mean, we were at the merch stand. We're actually beside there now, and they've run out of pretty much everything except for like one size of hoodie.
You got the last Grimes t-shirt, right?
Yep, the last Grimes t-shirt, like picked off the rack, the last extra large. Couldn't have been luckier.
And our friend Tiana Feng from Ride the Tempo got the only and maybe the last extra small Grimes hoodie, which is an exclusive that she just posted on Instagram. So yeah, they don't have too many other merch available right now.
No, they don't really have anything. All I could see is like one size of that hoodie left, which is sleeveless, by the way. It's not useful. It's a fashion statement. It looks really nice, though. But apart from that, the only other artist I can see is Lowell, which that's how you pronounce it, right?
Lowell.
Oh, however, with their T-shirts, which again, because I clearly know the band, I should be buying it. No, I don't. So the only thing I'm there for is Grimes, and I'm sure most other people, and that's just sold out. And now John Hopkins is having like a display of colors, kind of like Enter the Voids, flashing pretty quickly on the screen. So somebody might get a seizure, hopefully not.
And back to the food. So the pork belly and watermelon, that was $6. I think that was money well spent. Kind of on the low side, but you know, like they have all the hipster kind of gourmet food. That's what they go for here. No hamburgers to be seen.
No, and I've been at Fort York a few times now within the past 2 months. I was at Field Trip, I was at Turf, and now I'm here with Time. And they don't really have a basic food stand. The most basic thing I could get was chicken fingers at Field Trip, but that cost like $13 for like 3 pieces and like a few fries. And the sauce was extra. Like the price range is abysmal here, but if you're going to go with something here, with one of the interesting options, you might as well go all the way. So pork and watermelon. I mean, the quantity was a bit small, but surprisingly, that was pretty damn good.
And the freezy that you have, I had one too, the electrolyte freezy. That was $3 for one, or you can get 2 for $5.
Yeah.
And it's made of all chemicals.
It is. Well, they said otherwise to you, I believe. They didn't say anything to me. They just said it tastes like...
They said it was a fruit from Africa.
Right. To me, they said it tasted like apples and pina colada. They didn't say anything about organic produce. They didn't say anything about it being healthier. They just said it tastes pretty good. And yeah, it worked for me, but apparently they lied to you.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so they have a lack of food trucks. They have like 4 here. I think I'm going to eye the fish taco for $9 later, maybe.
That's pretty expensive as well as a $9 beer. I mean, that's pretty bad. And like I said, there's no water refill station. Yes, it's raining, but at these festivals, they almost always have that because you never know what's going to happen, right? It's not necessarily just the heat. Sometimes people just need water and they can't afford it, right?
Yeah, they don't even have a water fill-up area.
No, that's irresponsible. That's very...
We all have a right to water.
Yeah, I brought my water.
Well, you could say there's free water coming from the heavens right now.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're not like... Who was the person who drank it? Buddha? Buddha drank the rain, right? If you're not Buddha, then you're not used to drinking water like this, I guess.
You could have like those paper funnels and put it into a bag, and then you drink it out of there after.
Or you could collect it in your umbrella if you fill it upside down. Oh, wait a second. They don't let fucking umbrellas in here.
Yeah, they took it away. Nothing at all. Heavily frisked, too.
Oddly enough, I see some umbrellas now that I'm saying this, which concerns me, because why did a few of ours get taken away, yet I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Maybe yours were like the really high industrial, freaky looking one.
My umbrella's smaller than your device right now.
Yep.
It's a tiny one.
All right, we'll continue on this report and continue as we keep going.
Absolutely. Sean was asking me about Grimes and her Asian influence, I suppose. And I was just telling him about Be a Body, which I consider one of the best songs of the last decade. It's got a subtitle that's in Japanese. I don't think it's an actual word in English, but it refers to this Japanese theology that less correlation actually has a bigger impact, I believe. So that's why in that song, the bass line changes up a lot of the time. No chorus sounds exactly the same. Everything kind of differs, but it adds as a bigger impact to the entire song. And that's kind of Grimes as a whole, because as you can hear, well, this is a new song, I guess, but she'll take samples and clips from her actual songs and just change it up entirely live. So that's kind of what Grimes is all about. So there you go.
Okay, and we're back.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting, huh? So the voice audio was captured nicely, and you could hear a nice bed of background noise and the stage music at the back there. So we'll work on that.
It was pretty good stuff there. We were near the merch stand, I guess.
Yeah, we try to stay back from the stage, but you could still. It's a nice bed of music. Like the vocals, like our voices were at a nice range, except for mine. And then you have a nice small bed of like the surrounding atmosphere, so you could get a mood for what it was like at the Time Festival. And so yeah, we had some nice food at the food trucks. There was only 4.
Yep.
What stood out the most? The pork belly and the watermelon. That was good.
Oh, I've told many people about that. The pork belly and the watermelon.
Who would have ever thought? Yeah.
Yeah, somebody got stoned off their ass and basically said, "Oh, yo, what if we take this and we put that together?" And you know what? I don't care because you know what? It was delicious. So however they came up with it,
probably it came out like that.
Well, what other explanation? Because if you're like right-minded, like we were like, this doesn't sound good at all. But they swore by it. They said this is our highest recommendation, so we tried it.
Because they were high.
Oh no, I don't think they were high back then, but maybe in the conception of actually making said product. But no, it was delicious. I just wish there was more of it because there was a really small amount. But
and so yeah, the food was good. We'll see what the next festival does. But so you said the lineup was 50-50. So what was your biggest letdown and biggest enjoyment?
Letdown? I don't know if I had any letdowns because a lot of the artists I wasn't really familiar with. Like I knew them either on a name basis or like 1 or 2 songs, like quick listens. I don't think I was really hyped to see anything that wasn't good in my opinion. But so I wasn't really let down by anything, but I did have obviously my least favorites. Action Bronson was one. And look, okay, like I watched a few videos of him. Like he does like this web show where he's also a chef, so he comments on food and stuff. I get that he's a big joke. I get that where a lot of what he does is just silly and kind of humorous, and that's kind of like what his fan base is all about. They find this hilarious. I get that, and even after my review, I stay where I stood initially, where I just was not impressed with the show whatsoever. But I get his character a little bit better now. But even so, he just as a performer. If you're not performing for like 10 minutes because you're running around and not doing stuff, that's not, how could you give that in a positive light? You know?
Well, he ate a turkey or a sandwich. I'm not sure what kind of sandwich. And then he ran off into the crowd for like 15 minutes. Yeah,
and then he was just like, yo, I'm so high, whatever, like on stage.
That would have been funny if he just did his 3 songs, ate the sandwich, and went into the crowd and just walked out to the back. That would be funny.
It would have been funny, but imagine if you were that person who bought tickets just for him, because oddly enough, he had a bigger crowd than Grimes did.
Yeah, and the promoter who paid for him to come.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine if you were them and he just left. Okay, it might have been something similar to what Death Grips might have done because knowing them, but still, if that's all you got, that's embarrassing, and that's not because he left out of anger or he left because somebody was throwing stuff at him.
That's all he had.
He just left because he felt like it. That's like a slap in the face. And well, no, he didn't leave, but still,
he went back on stage.
Yeah, he went back on stage, but he wasted a lot of time not even doing anything. Like even the guy from Fucked Up was performing in the crowd at Field Trip, so he wasn't like wasting anyone's time or anything. He was having fun with the people, but like actually doing stuff. I mean, Action Bronson restarted tracks. He stopped rapping halfway just to talk about stuff that didn't really relate at all. Just highly unprofessional. But I guess I said enough about that. I get his character a little bit more. I have a little bit more respect for him as a person, because obviously, he's a big joker at heart, but I mean, he's got to really focus when it comes to doing that kind of stuff on stage, because you see somebody like Danny Brown, who's possibly even more of a joker, way more comical. Like you'd expect him to be like the sloppier person on stage, but no, he's very professional on stage.
Yeah, very professional. Yeah,
he cares about his art and how people perceive it, and that's what you need. So, obviously, my favorite acts were Grimes, which I spoke heavily about in my review. I like John Hopkins a lot, actually. Flume was really good, actually.
Flume was great, and so was St. Lucia. Wow, good stuff.
Yeah, St. Lucia was really good. And yeah, the thing with St. Lucia is, even if you're not a fan of the music, just the way they performed was so captivating. And that's what I mean about Action Bronson. Let's say you're not a fan of rap and you're at Time Festival where there's not like a lot of rap happening, right? You want to win everyone over. You're not going to win people over by not finishing songs or by just not doing stuff for like 10 minutes. You're going to win people over by saying, hey, you should give a damn about us. And that's what St. Lucia did. So,
oh yeah, people were jumping at the end of St. Lucia. That was like amazing.
Yeah, at a festival where they didn't really fit because there weren't a lot of like live bands. It was mostly DJ sets and stuff. They did their very best, and you know what? I'm sure they got a lot of reward out of that.
And new fans, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh wow. I guess for me the biggest downside was the rain. Oh my god, it rained the entire day.
Yeah, that was bad.
It would have been so much better with like sunshine.
Oh yeah, you can say that about anything though, but well, what can you do, I guess?
The show did end off with Grimes, her amazing set, amazing lighting, and I think the rain stopped actually.
It did, because the rain was like, oh wow, even we have to pay attention to this. Just give us a second. We'll come back, but we just want to watch this quickly. So
Grimes was really, really good.
I remember being scared because I used to, what I like to do if it's an artist I obviously highly enjoy, which I'm sure a lot of people do, is you watch what they do live, or what are they like live? Did they stick to the album sound? Did they try and reinvent themselves? What do they do? I remember watching a little bit of Grimes when she got really big in 2012. Her live stuff, or what she did on television shows and stuff. And I was kind of underwhelmed. I said, okay, it's not translating well at all. Compared to then and now, the amount of improvement she's had, oh my goodness, you can't even calculate it. She's really fine-tuned who she is as a live performer now. She's really got that identity now, and she's excellent now. So
I don't think, like, I love listening to albums, but I also like seeing the artist do something different on stage. I think that's the beauty of the live performance.
Well, it depends who it is. I mean, Swans barely did anything that was recognizable to their album releases.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
Well, I guess it's something of our time. I'm not really sure. But no, there were like jam sessions, I guess, with Fish and Grateful Dead and all of that beforehand, right? And even stuff from like Krautrock, like Can. No, but then I guess the newer version of that is taking a song that you have and just like messing it up into like a new entity, which Grimes did that a lot. Daft Punk does that quite a bit, where they meld songs together and create new songs. Like I remember Human After All, their most panned album. It's the only one that a lot of people didn't really like. They said that they felt like that album had like new kind of entity once they saw their songs live, because they changed them up so much and they kind of realized their capabilities. Yeah, so it's I don't know if it's really recent, because we had that before with obviously like jam sessions with a lot of those kinds of bands, but it's something that's happening now, and if you do it right, it can have a really good effect. If you do it badly, then it just sounds really sloppy, right?
Exactly. Well, speaking of the live, like the whole bringing your studio album into a live performance, so we can compare Ken Tranada with Flume. That's his name, right? Ken Tranada?
Well, I'll call him K Tranada, I guess.
Yeah, my bad. K Tranada.
There we go.
He did a lot of, I guess, like stopping and like a complete, I don't even know what to call it. It's like the segues into his next songs were totally dramatic.
Yeah, they felt like alarm clocks as opposed to dreams. You know what I mean? Where it's like you kind of ease your way into a different part of the dream. It's like, well, how did I get here? No, he was the alarm clock where it's like, oh shit, time to get up for work kind of thing, where every 30 seconds or so you were suddenly like,
it was like a different genre. Every song was different.
You kept waking up. It was not good. While
Flume, I knew most of his songs, but then they segued into each other, which is different from the album, which was great. They like flowed together.
Yeah, it was a nice general transition. So no complaints with Flume, as I said.
So all in all, Time Festival was fun. It was wet, but fun.
Yeah, unless you get flashed by people who are too stoned to know what the names are.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, let's not go there. But yeah,
that's
you did
the
get
end of that
flashed.
story.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, I guess, this is going to be a kind of sly transition because there's no real relation at all. But speaking of time, Boyhood obviously is a movie that's getting a lot of praise. It's getting some of the highest praise of our generation, actually. Like, this could be like our Taxi Driver or our Pulp Fiction, where we see this huge culture shift and we see this huge highly acclaimed epic that will become the signature of a director, which is in this case Richard Linklater, for the rest of his career.
Oh wow, that's a pretty big statement to make. So just to be clear, I have not seen it yet. I believe it was just released to the public.
Yeah, I saw a premiere of it.
Yeah, you saw it, like a premiere of it at NXNE.
Yeah, and even then, like, before all the huge praise came out, a lot of us were on the same wavelength where we said this is something truly special, this is something magical. And now, like, it's almost unanimous. Like, almost everyone's agreeing with us. It's got the highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes I've seen in like a very long time. For new releases, it's probably the highest I've ever seen, actually.
So actually, you can tell us why you liked it, but don't spoil it. And I guess since this is that good of a film, we'll probably get Dakota on the show, and then I'll watch it, and then we'll go into a in-depth review of it with spoilers.
You should do it soon, but the thing is, I think it's gonna get a wide release because this is getting a lot of publicity. They're already saying that it's a high contender for like Best Picture and Best Director and all of that.
Well, there you go. So, like, why did you like it?
Well, I've seen it twice now. Actually, I saw it again the other day because, like I said, it has that ability to stay in your head, and it's not like a Gaspar Noé film or like a Nicholas Winding Refn film where they stay in your head, possibly because they're stylistically engaging or because they're really disturbing and they kind of like shock your senses. It stays with you because it makes you reevaluate who you are as a person, not in like a bad way, but in a good way, where you say, you know, like, I've come a long way as a person. Basically, you probably know what it is all about at this point, but if not, it's a film by Richard Linklater, Boyhood, and it was filmed over 12 years from 2012 until just the beginning of 2014. And you have a family which comprises of Patricia Arquette as the mom, Ethan Hawke as the dad, who's not in the picture too often, but he tries to visit his kids as often as possible. And then you have Ella Coltrane and Lorelai Linklater as the two kids, and it focuses mostly on Ella Coltrane's character Mason, as he goes from being 8 years old to just graduating. And the nice thing about this film is you can't really spoil it because it's not about the plot. There isn't a lot of plot. It just is life and how it goes. So by saying he is like an 18-year-old at the end who leaves high school isn't a spoiler, but to say like the morals...
he made it to 18, damn it. You spoiled it.
Well, no, it's not like he's going to die or anything, but the whole point of the film is like its messages and like its statements on what it means to kind of evolve as a human being. So if I told you a lot of that would be the spoiler, or like the last few quotes would be the spoiler, because like the film ends on such profound philosophical quotes on what it means to be like a human and what it means to truly age, that if I said any of that, it would be a spoiler, but I'm not going to. But no, basically what happens is you see him age and you see technology age as well. So you know when you're looking at them playing Halo, like Halo 2, I believe, because it's the one with the swords, back in the early 2000s, you know when they filmed it that this was cutting edge back then. But now it looks so dated that it's hilarious. But they didn't want it to look aged. It just looks aged. And you see him go from playing like a Nintendo Game Boy Advance, I think, the SP one. You see him go playing that to the Wii U, to kind of even growing out of video games entirely. You'll like this part. You'll see like the old retro Macs with like the big green backs, those really big compressed ones, to like the iMac, where it just looks so sleek, and like the silver design and everything. So without even trying to say that this is dated and this is what it was like back then, they just managed to get everything kind of flowing. And Richard Linklater must have had like a huge idea of what he wanted to do with this film, because there's so many things that echo throughout the film. And what they did was they actually, every year when they would film for like a week or two, they would have like a week beforehand where they had a workshop, the four main characters and himself, and they would say, okay, did Patricia Arquette, did your kids say anything kind of funny? Okay, that's I like that. That's endearing. We're gonna put that in the film. And they talked and they talked. So then, like, they only had the script the day before shooting. So this movie was heavily going with the times, and it had to rely on L.R. Coltrane and how he looked, the styles he was getting into, what he was getting into. So they really lucked out, because a lot of the problems would have been, what if he's a bad actor? What if he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore? His daughter, Richard Linklater's daughter, actually wanted to be killed off because she didn't want to do it anymore. And that could have screwed up the entire movie. Yeah. So, but she ended up staying.
So it's actually like an actual reality show.
Yes and no, because it's more than just this is life. There's a lot of statements on what it means to be human, obviously. So you see, like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but like just as like a minute example, you'll see Mason not be good with handing in homework. And at first it's just because he didn't know he was supposed to hand it in. He wasn't told to. And then he kind of gets lazy with it. And then later on in high school, it ends up being, what is this all about? Why should I do homework? Yes, I'm passionate about photography. I'm in photography class, but why should I do homework? I just want to do this as a living, not as a criteria. You know what I mean? So it really dives into stuff like that. And then again, he goes from loving video games to being like, I need social interaction. I'm tired of living behind a screen, when Facebook starts to become a thing. So there's just so many things going on. You see so many like background characters that age as well, that they somehow managed to bring back. You'll see photographs that they took that age with the characters in the background. It's a really special film, and it's hilarious for its entire 3 hours. Like, everybody I was with was laughing for both screenings. There was a huge applause, as if it was like a Broadway show that they saw in person with live actors at the very end. Like, I've never seen it like that before. Usually you just hear like a few people clapping. Like, everybody was floored.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I heard or saw people clapping.
No, everybody was floored. Like, this movie's above and beyond.
Yes, it sounds really good. I have to go check it out really soon. Then we can do that review episode. But I guess this is in the news again because it got a controversial R rating. What was up with that?
Apparently, this is because you see like a boy growing up, and he discovers like sexuality, and he discovers what it means to be like an individual, right? Like, there isn't like heavy drug usage. Like, yes, you'll see like a little bit of that. A little bit of drinking, but it's not like he becomes like a drug addict or anything, right? It's not like he gets like alcohol abuse. It's a pretty optimistic film, actually, so you're not going to see anything too dark like that. You'll see some dramatic things, but you'll see. So he's not like a sex addict or anything. There's no gore, obviously. There's not like a lot of violence or anything. Like, it's a very, very toned down movie. It's actually a movie that's supposed to be for all ages, because it helps. It encourages you to grow, and it opens your the minds of younger people, and it makes older people be nostalgic. So I guess the MPAA got really nervous with the fact that it would show younger kids what it means to kind of grow up. So it introduced them to like mature themes of like philosophy and the life of like a college student, that a high school student aspires to be like, what it means to break out into the world and leave school. And for some reason that scared them, I guess. So they gave it an R rating. So they wouldn't have to like have all these kids questioning, why doesn't he like this anymore? Why is he fond of this girl? Why are they like looking at like lingerie magazines kind of thing? And what's the point? The whole point of this movie for younger kids is for them to have that question with their adults. Because in the film, they do have the talk. But at the same time, why should you hide kids from that? Wouldn't that be like a great way to talk to your kids about that kind of thing? Where it's like, Dad, what do they mean by this? And it's suddenly like half your job is done. It's like, well, the movie kind of explained it, right? While Ethan Hawke was telling his kids about the talk.
It's very useful, man.
Yeah, so
I don't know why would they give it an R rating. I don't know.
The same reason why this rating exists in the first place, because they're too scared. Honestly.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
They're too scared. They can't have parents have their own discretions. They can't let kids kind of like be their own moral compasses. They're too scared. And if anything, I remember when I was a kid, when I was a kid in grade 3, we had to, like, the beginning of school, they used to have these things where it's like, write your favorite things and find friends who like the same things as you. I remember watching PG-13 movies, and when we had like parent-teacher interviews and we showed all of our stuff, my parents were like, you never watched PG-13. Yeah, but I wanted to because it seemed cool, right?
Exactly.
So if anything, the ratings are a contradiction, because how quickly when you're younger did you want to watch an R-rated movie?
Very, very quickly.
Yeah. So that it's very counterintuitive. Absolutely.
What was the first R-rated movie you ever watched? Do you even remember? Is that even possible?
Was Gladiator R-rated?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Actually, was Titanic R-rated, or was it just PG-13?
Oh, I think no. Well, there was that heavy sex scene in the car, so probably.
It might have been that, but I watched that. I watched it in theaters because I guess it was.
I think mine was Titanic too.
It might have been Titanic.
That's weird when you think about it. Titanic was my first R-rated film.
It was my first nudity on screen, I guess. But like,
one that I can remember. Maybe like you glanced at it on TV at home or something. You weren't sure.
Yeah, I guess. But let's skip Titanic, because I think that was like most of ours, because that was like one that our parents felt was like culturally.
They brought you to that, yeah.
Exactly. No, I enjoyed it.
I remember waiting in the line for that too at the theater.
Oh God, the lineup waiting for the VHS as well. I remember that. It was like a huge announcement on the radio. Titanic's finally out on a VHS. It's midnight. I remember that. It was
and people
crazy.
lined up to get the VHS.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my God, yeah. That's so weird when you think about it. I guess we line up for iPhones now, so whatever.
It is, but I guess let's say like out of my own discretion, the first R-rated film that I watched by myself, like on my own terms, was
Girls
Gladiator.
Gone Wild. Oh. Okay.
No, that's X-rated. But that was way before then. No, no. Like on my own discretion was Gladiator. I even remember not watching The Matrix because I felt like, which is mature for a kid, I felt like I don't know if I'll get this at this age, so I won't watch it.
I got to think about too. When did I see The Matrix? Actually, I think the first R-rated film I saw like with my parents at the theater was Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
because I wanted to see that.
Though.
What? What did you say?
That's a terrible film, though.
Yeah, I know. The first one. Actually, I saw, what was that? Spawn. I saw Spawn.
I remember wanting to watch Spawn.
Spawn was freaky as hell.
I remember wanting to watch it for so many years because I remember it started with the Pogs. I know, weird. And then I got the action figures, and then I was reading the comics. And then once I was older, I finally watched the film, and I was like, "Wow, I'm heavily disappointed. This could have been way better." And I was dying to see
It was pretty dark,
this.
though.
It was dark, yeah, but I mean,
like this guy went to hell and stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's the comics as well.
What was the rating on this?
I'm pretty sure that might have been like a PG-13. In fact, Matrix might have been PG-13 too, actually.
Oh, how come it nowhere says what their rating is? Oh yeah, PG. Really? PG-13 for Spawn?
PG-13's basically.
I remember. I thought it felt like it was it felt like it was an R-rated film.
Well, when you're a kid, I guess PG-13 basically is probably the worst rating you can get, because it's basically, we can't show this to kids because it's dark and it's violent, but it's not good enough to kind of be rated R because it doesn't really fully go with what it's trying to say. It's still reserved.
Yeah.
So
oh wow, Mortal Kombat was PG-13 as well.
Oh yeah.
And they sucked the soul out of this dude.
Yeah. But that's the thing though. It's like PG-13 basically is the rating that's mostly catered to making money, because it's not R-rated, so the teen audience can't watch it, or like even younger kids can't watch it at all. But
Titanic was PG-13 too, so that was not your first R-rated film.
What was Gladiator?
Let's see.
That has to have been R.
Gladiator is rated family. Everyone. No, I'm joking.
Rated G, you never know.
That was R.
Okay, so that was my first officially then. Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh?
I'm surprised that Titanic was PG-13, because usually these rating systems would hop on the fact that she's naked. You know, it's like you could watch a guy getting his head blown off, PG-13, but a boob, oh no, that's rated R. We can't show that to kids.
Well, it was a nice boob.
It was. I guess that maybe they felt the world needed to see it, but that gets back to the point of Boyhood, where what were they trying to hide?
We need to reveal a boob to the mass market. So, what is the best way to do this?
Even the King's
It's time.
speech.
It's time.
If there was no, but even the King's speech got a lot of controversy because there was one scene where they encouraged the king to swear, or the duke at this point. They encouraged him to swear to get rid of his stutter, which actually is a tried method. And that one scene alone gave it like an R rating, and even that was like controversial. But
Wait, the
Boyhood,
King's speech has an R rating?
it does in some countries, I think,
What? Okay, well,
because of that.
The Matrix is R rated too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I saw that after Gladiator, so no, but Boyhood doesn't have that. Like, yes, there's a little bit of swearing. Yes, there's a little bit of like drug intake and like alcohol intake, but it's not like a main focal point. It's kind of like, oh, he's discovering pot now. That's cool, but it's not like he becomes a pothead. He kind of just does it like once or twice. That's it. Or it's like drinking. It's like he does it once or twice. That's it. It's like, oh, this is his first beer. This is that.
Yeah.
You see like alcohol play into the picture a lot with like a lot of the older people. But I won't really spoil that. But nothing like obscene at all. I don't think there's any nudity.
Shawshank is R rated as well.
Why is that R-rated?
I don't know.
That Raquel Welch poster, it's too provocative.
Yeah, probably. It's promoting freedom too much.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, again, this kind of goes back to the whole royalties thing, where it goes from being like an actual tried method for an innocent purpose to being a method of control, where it's like, I don't think we should let kids see a coming of age film that's this exact yet. So let's let them wait until they're older. That's nonsense. If I saw this when I was a kid, this would have been a huge effect on my life, like in an optimistic way. Like, as an adult, this is already like a massively effective picture, and most people are agreeing with me. So this should be being watched by kids, but it's not, because it's getting an R rating. It's ridiculous.
And just for your reference, 2001: The Space Odyssey is rated question mark.
Well,
It's
back
PG.
then,
It's PG.
they didn't have
They didn't know what the
PG-13.
heck this was.
They didn't have PG-13 back then. That was mostly because of films like I think Jaws or Gremlins. Gremlins might have been the first PG-13, I think, or it was one of the first.
Really?
Again, it was like when the blockbuster films first started coming out, right? So it's mostly a marketing technique.
All right.
But
Yeah.
if you're a film aficionado, you'll recognize PG-13 usually is a bad sign. Like, when I like Prometheus, but a lot of people didn't. But when Prometheus first came out, I remember it was PG-13, and for a lot of people, that was a really bad sign. They're like, oh, great, here we go. What are they going to cut out? What are they going to like stymie us on? You know what I mean?
It's rated R.
Oh no, like it might have been like an initial, like initially it was supposed to be
okay.
released at PG-13. I guess a lot of people complained, and Ridley Scott's like, no, it's going to be rated R. I don't remember what it ended up being, but
I love Prometheus, though.
I can see why people hate it, but
The sequel comes out in 2016, March.
we'll see what happens there. I have no idea.
I like that franchise. I'll go see it.
Well, Alien's my favorite movie of one of my favorite movies of all time. My favorite sci-fi movie, anyways. But
And you like Prometheus?
I do. I don't love it, but I do like it a lot. The problem is a lot of the plot holes were solved outside of the film.
Yeah, which is weird.
That's what Damon Lindelof tried to do, though, where it was like,
You can't
why
do
did
that.
why did he sacrifice himself at the beginning, that engineer? They actually have it in the deleted scenes. It's because it's like a part of this like religious cult that they had.
So why didn't he just include it?
That's the thing. I don't know. And even the part like at the end with the engineer, like the confrontation, which was really short and anticlimactic, there's like a huge scene that's been deleted where it's like they actually talk to the engineer. I'm trying to be subtle without like spoiling anything, obviously, but you know the scene I'm talking about, where they actually have like a huge confrontation and they actually anger the engineer, and that's why he did what he did. But in the movie, he kind of just does it, right?
Yeah. Oh well.
It's terrible. Like, the only thing that they didn't really cover is why they didn't roll out of the way, but that was just
Why Charlize?
yeah, why she didn't roll out of the way.
Yeah,
That was
she could have rolled in sideways or something.
There's no explanation for that. That was just stupidity.
Stupid.
She's an android, as we implied, so her.
Yeah, all she had to do was roll 5 feet in like left or right, and she would have been alive.
I know, but they explain why the engineer does that at the beginning. They explain why he got angered. They explain why they went on this mission without knowing what it was. They explain so many things, the way that the planet works, the way that the little creatures work. They explain everything. And
It was for like it was like a weapon developing planet, right?
yeah, basically. But they explain this on special features. They explain this on a website that they created, like a fake website where they explained how David works or like the Android model works. They explained the ecosystems of the planet. Like they had like really in-depth stuff, and they had like promotional videos where it was like a fake advertisement for that company, the Wayland Industries company.
Oh, yeah, all that viral stuff.
Yeah, all this stuff that explained everything, but has nothing to do with it has a lot to do with the film, but nothing to do
They
with
didn't put it
like,
in the
actual
film. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think there's going to be a crossover between the Alien series, like Prometheus is part of the Alien series, and a cross between Blade Runner?
God, I hope not.
There was one thing that they had like a letter, like it was like a viral thing too, but it's like a letter that talks about both of them, like replicants and the androids in the same universe.
I hope they kind of leave that alone because Blade Runner is based off of a Philip K. Dick book, Dander's Dream of Electric Sheep. It's not like a true adaptation, but it was inspired by it. So there's a little bit of conceptualization from that book that made it into the film. But it's a great standalone film. The fact that they either want to remake it or make a sequel, that alone kind of annoys me.
They don't need to. Don't remake it. Just make a sequel or a prequel.
No, I don't think they need a sequel. If they make a sequel, it'll actually ruin the movie. Have you seen Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Okay, so spoilers coming. 3, 2, 1. The fact that it's implied that he's an android. Think about it. If they have a sequel,
Replicant.
Or a replicant, you know what I mean?
It's a big difference because in
replicant.
the people in Alien, like the things like what's his name again? What's the android guy? What's
David?
his name? Yeah, David.
Or you mean in the original Alien?
No, in Prometheus.
Okay, it's David, yeah.
They're androids.
Yeah.
And those are made by Mr. Whalen.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Like,
and the replicants from Blade Runner are made by what's his name? The guy with the glasses that gets killed.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Okay, so wrong choice of words, obviously, but the replicant, the fact that it's implied that he's a replicant, it would be spoiled. Like that mystery would have been spoiled by a sequel, where it's like, okay, we know what he is now. You know what I mean?
Well, then it'll be a prequel, like what they did with Prometheus.
No, but what's the point of a prequel where they basically already announced what happened with the replicants, where they said that they started developing emotions, they were aware of their short lifespans, and they reacted as a protest, and they said how they were conceived and all that. There's no reason for it, you know what I mean?
I think maybe I just want another soundtrack.
That would be nice. It was a good soundtrack. It's a pointless sequel or prequel, and even a remake, because the fact that I still watch this movie and it's one of the best movies in terms of special effects that I've ever seen. Like, there's so many things that I can't even wrap my head around. It's like, okay, this is before CGI. How did they pull this off? I have no idea. If they do that, it's just going to look cheap. I mean, even Total Recall, which I guess is based on a Philip K. Dick book as well, or a story anyways. Total Recall, like the original, I'm not like a massive fan of, but it's way better than the recent one. The recent one looks cheap.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what new ones do.
Yeah, but there's no point. It's going to be shoddy. I hope they don't make a remake or anything of Blade Runner.
Where can all of our listeners find you, Andreas?
If they want to talk more about Blade Runner, they can find me on Twitter at Andreas Babs.
You can find myself at Sean Chin. You can follow the show at Live in Limbo and use the hashtag Capsule Podcast to join in on the conversation. Please subscribe to this show on iTunes. And of course, you can find the show notes and all the links at liveinlimbo.com/capsule. Take care.
Have a good one.